doesn't help her case. And when people were seeing that there's this small petition to get her charged, they supported that. They were all in favor of it. But again, I asked you a couple minutes ago, I'm gonna ask you again, are you worried about the mental of somebody who did some sore loser shit? And are you concerned that maybe, just maybe, all of your opinions about how this little girl is a sore loser might affect her, not the person she gave a concussion, but her and how she feels about this?
We stand with you. We support you.
Thank y'all for supporting me. There's nobody else wanted to hear my story except for people that know me and people that know I would never do anything like that. I would never harm anybody. I'm not a fighter. I'm not even in competition. I wouldn't even do that on purpose.
I gotta pee.
And I thank y'all for believing in me.
Be right back.
I think it's funny that all of these people are there to support this girl and are there with that girl and are upset that everybody's viewing her in a negative light, yet everybody else on the planet who's seeing this video footage is like, yeah, y'all trying to make this like it's some sympathetic witch hunt, when in reality, she did some sore loser shit and deserves to be criticized for it. Do I think she's gonna end up in jail? No. I think she's gonna get maybe kicked off the team, maybe suspended from the team, and ultimately you can cut the waterworks because the only people who believe in you are your family, which is gonna be a given, and the dumb people who refuse to actually look at that video evidence and say, yeah, you kind of had a little bit of intent with that, and time will tell how much your teary eyes work on a group of people who have their phones recording everything 24/7, and that's probably not gonna be the lucrative idea for you. Now for part two, because I feel like this one, a lot of people may not know about, but by the time this gets uploaded, it may have hit the rounds and people are going to start having their opinions more and more and more as it becomes more of a viral issue. But there was a school fight that happened very recently between a boy and a girl. And
Hey, boy. Hey, girl.
Dictate that I must bring
Superstar
this.
DJ.
A Latino male.
Here we go.
A black woman. The most disrespected group in American history in the classroom with a substitute teacher. Keep that in mind. And these individuals, based on the video, are in a fight, and this boy is whooping her ass.
There's a warning. This story has video that may be disturbing to some viewers. It shows what appears to be a student knocking out another student while spewing racial slurs. This happened inside a middle school classroom. The incident, of course, has some parents angry.
And has activists demanding immediate action. Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez in Colton with the story for us. Christina?
Yeah, and I want to reiterate the disturbing aspects of that video, not only being the fact that you're going to see as much as we have tried to blur these minors' faces, but how many times we've had to bleep the bad words and the racial slurs. With that said, watch. The video begins with the larger male student pulling the smaller female by the hair as other students laugh, some even
Don't
using...
want to see that.
You know what? I'm going to help you up just a little bit. Keep that in mind
I
also.
don't want to
and of course,
see
it led to a
people
bunch of people having their reactions. How dare this happen to a black girl? A bunch of people in this district or at this school are mean-spirited towards black individuals. A lot of people are seemingly calling for a witch hunt of a teenager, which I don't know why you would want to have that digital footprint on your back. And some people were questioning how this all started. And I'm going to be honest, based off of the reactions I saw, I started to question how this started, because it's not hard to believe that people are bullies and they pick on individuals and they fight them. It's not really hard to believe. I don't live in a world where Candyland is a place where everyone makes sense. People are mean-spirited and people are always going to pick on something small. And I wanted to know how this started because based on reactions, people would have me believe that this guy walked into the classroom and just picked on somebody and just gave him the Womack. And it just didn't really sit right with me. And as time went on, it seems to be not the case at all. Remember when when I said to keep the one student who decided to help the girl up in mind? Well, she's about to speak to you all via this news conference. And I want you to pay attention to the question being asked, the context around this fight taking place. And I want you to pay strong attention to who responds and how they respond.
It just escalated. The teacher, the subject teacher.
Okay, no, I'm just gonna start reading a little bit. It's okay.
So you're
Don't rush.
there was
You ready? Okay, I'm ready.
I was trying to help her out because I was worried about her, and I was seeing if she was okay, so I took her to the office.
Colton police confirmed they responded to the school and cited both students, saying the video does not show what witnesses told them happened moments earlier, when the girl supposedly hit the young man who was, quote, struck in the head multiple times by a metal object. We tried asking the young girl supposedly hit this guy with a metal object several times over the head. Before we see it, what we see on the video.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Did that happen?
No, hold on. Let me speak to that.
Stepping in, activists denouncing the incident outside the school.
The video speaks for itself. So I don't care who started it or how it started. We saw the video. That young black child was innocent.
Hate has no place in Rialto Unified School District.
We asked district officials, what was the teacher doing while all this was being videotaped?
A telephone call was made to safety officers. So when we said there was a decisive action taken, there was action taken. Everything in between is under investigation.
Now, at this point, no word on what's happened to the teacher. We know the boy was cited for assault with a deadly weapon, according to Colton police. The girl for battery on school grounds. They're also looking into other reports by parents that the boy may have been reported as bullying other students, but no confirmation on that. Is all under investigation.
I understand that in this world where we must fixate very deeply on the subject matter and the context, that way we have full information, that I also need to consider the racial aspects and how nothing matters, the context doesn't matter, because the video proves what we all saw. And while the video does show a boy beating the shit out of this girl, what matters is the full story, not just the ending. Because with the full story, we're able to have a little bit more, what's that word, rhymes with context. Oh, context in making sure that we're not just randomly looking at something and thinking that, yeah, this is 100% what it is. Because that's a mistake that we have done a little bit too many times that I wish we'd stop. As the community leaders spoke Thursday, Colton police issued a news release announcing that the combatants, who were both 14-year-old 8th graders, had been cited. The release described the boy as the victim and said that he was struck in the head multiple times with a metal object before the video was shot. Colton Police Sergeant Mike Sandoval, I probably butchered that, described the metal object as a drinking bottle and said both students were arrested, cited, and released. The girl for felony assault with a deadly weapon and the boy for misdemeanor battery both were suspended and face possible expulsion while the case is still under investigation. And when you look at this and then you see the reactions from people calling specifically for the boy to face only punishment, not really understanding that this started apparently because of people slinging water bottles at each other and not being okay that they're getting hit with Stanley cups, you can tend to understand why somebody could be so upset that they're gonna want to fight. And you could spare me equality to the moon and people being women and people being girls. When you set yourself up to get in a fight, the rules are kind of off at that point. You can't really expect people to be calm, cool, and collected and say, that's just a girl when they get hit with something. I'm just gonna be frank with you, and you could like give me some long paragraph speech about something. All I'm gonna say is, you, person who's gonna write that, you don't want to get hit upside the head with anything, and you're going to react very violently. Don't matter if you're a woman, don't matter if you're a man. You're going to react very violently to somebody in your same age group hitting you upside your head with anything, let alone a fucking water bottle that might be a fucking Stanley cup. Now, seeing that it's March, and these are both 14-year-old 8th graders, and because it's March, it's the end of the school year, essentially, for both of them, I think the suspension is good enough for a school fight. I think maybe what, 2 weeks? I don't know how long the suspension is. Some suspensions are 3 days, some are a week. I think 2 weeks suspension will be a benefit to get these two away from each other, get them to maybe reconcile, and then keep them separated for the rest of the school year if the reconciliation doesn't work. Because overall, expulsion, while it would warrant it because they did get into a fight on school grounds, I think suspension, based on how they've acted throughout the entire school year, is perfectly fine and necessary. And should it go any further, that won't be my problem. That will be both of their fucking problems. But the reason I wanted these two specific things into one big video is to highlight that people go on social media, see something, see reactions, see people give like a nice little sob story, and they just 100% believe one side and one side only. A crowd of people will stand behind a girl who's probably talking about her mental over somebody's physical when she's the one who caused the physical pain, and the video evidence shows a little bit of intent. The nice story of them being close enough to where your arms are flailing around could make sense if we didn't have different angles to make it seem like, yeah, you're getting lapped just a little bit and you're annoyed by it, and you just give one to the back of the head just because this person was in arm's reach of you able to do so. And it's a little bit disheartening that people are going to stand behind this individual knowing full well with looking at that video, you're going to have a different reaction than looking at her crying and saying, buddy, pump the fucking brakes. You are a sore loser. And in the second example, you see people giving their testimonies, opening up a witch hunt, expecting a 14-year-old to get their ass whipped by presumably grown adults, which is weird. And when you're adding more context to the story, you have grown adults moving in front of children to create their own narrative of
anything you need me to do or want help on or
and beating up fried chicken eater.
No, I'm good. I'm gonna stay here for a while today. I was trying to I'm gonna try to do a bunch today, so that way I don't have to worry about. I just want to get as much done.
awesome. No, I'll be up earlier tomorrow. I don't think I have to pick up anything. George is going to turn out great. I'm going to let one drive completely and then see where it's at tomorrow before really getting involved in that. But I think it's going to be beautiful.
All right.
Yeah.
Be on their side. You can feel like they have been
I'm excited about flooring.
given what you know
Isn't that
at the
great?
time.
Yep.
But as the story evolves and the story kind of debunks a little bit what was said at the beginning, you need to start rubbing your eyes, removing the tears, removing all the stars, and looking at what's right fucking in front of you. And what's right in front of me is a sore loser who was mad that they was getting lapped just a little bit and somebody concussion and a high school fight between two dumbass high school students. I don't even think 8th grade is high school. Middle school 14-year-olds who don't know no fucking better. And we'll have a 2-week, maybe a week, maybe 3-day suspension. And if it gets to a point, they'll be expelled. And the next topic will come about for all of us to send our teeth into. And if I'm going to end this video, I'm going to end it like this. For the love of fun, what is with y'all picking up all these metal objects? And you know what? Let me just launch this on somebody. And that will cause damage. That will cause significant issues. And I said it earlier in the video, and I'm going to say it again. If you got hit upside the head with anything metal, wood, or even plastic, then you go and fucking fight. You can save the sympathy and all the, I wouldn't virtues for the motherfuckers on TikTok who you think would not do it also. Everybody else gonna want hands. They're gonna get their motherfucking hands. But subscribe to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you all in the next one. Let me know, are you a fan of being sore losers? Are you a fan of school fights? Do you remember finally how you got beat up and it inspired you to pick on the next person and you fought them? Do you have trauma from the fights you had in high school and middle school and they carry on with you to this very day as you sit there crisscross applesauce watching a black man with a birthmark on the side of his head? I will see you all in the next one. Mwah. The ending got a little bit too descriptive.
I wanted to ask you if you were releasing more granular data about people who were sent to El Salvador this week. Particular people you'd be releasing their names.
I don't believe so because.
Are you leaving, Brad?
point in time. That doesn't mean we won't eventually. I would defer you to the Department of Homeland Security for more details on the individuals on the flights. But we have been incredibly transparent in giving you the breakdown of the numbers and also some of the crimes committed by these heinous criminal individuals: kidnapping, sexual abuse of a child, robbery, aggravated assault on a police officer. I would remind everybody in this room that Tren de Aragua is a foreign terrorist organization operating within the United States of America because the previous administration allowed them to invade our country.
Tonight here in Washington, there is a tone of defiance coming from the White House as a federal judge is still waiting on answers from the Justice Department that doesn't seem eager to provide them following that testy court hearing today. Now, all of this started when President Trump invoked a rarely used wartime law called the Alien Enemies Act to deport hundreds of alleged members of a Venezuelan gang from the United States to El Salvador. Now, those deportation flights were carried out on Saturday night, despite a federal judge telling the administration to turn the planes around and return to the United States as these legal issues were sorted out. Judge Boasberg was back in court with Justice Department attorneys tonight, and while no cameras were in the courtroom, the CNN team who was reports they grew contentious as the administration attorneys repeatedly stonewalled a clearly perturbed judge, refusing to even answer basic questions from him, leading him at one point to place his hands on his hips and shake his head with his eyes closed. At one point, he summed up the Justice Department's reasoning as, quote, "We don't care, we'll do what we want."
Wait. So we got to talk about the latest trap that the mainstream liberal media and the left Democrats have fallen into from the Trump administration. Okay, because now they're once again finding themselves on the side of the 20 when it comes to an 80-20 issue, which 80% of the American people agree with the Trump administration. Democrats saying because we don't care about what the American people think and we hate Trump, we're just going to stand against the American people because we hate Trump, right? Again, Trump's arrangement has cognitively impaired the liberal media and the Democrat Party, okay? As the story about illegal immigrants who are gang members, Tren de Aragua gang members, this story is going viral because President Trump decided to deport them to El Salvador, okay, so that they can be locked up in a maximum security prison for at least a year for a very, very, very small fee, okay? Hopefully we never have to see, hear, or worry about them ever again. And liberals got upset, right? They got upset, they were boo-hoo, whining, and crying because some woke judge, some activist judge, decided to try to stop the deportations by issuing an order for the flights to turn around, okay, as the flights were already in the air, okay? And the DOJ, the Trump administration, decided that...
You got that coffee?
Yes, I did. It's fucking good.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, no, I actually stopped in my tracks. I was like, okay, wow, that is really good.
I'm glad you did.
Oh, yeah.
About Friday, making that.
Yeah, no, that is very good.
It's a little dark, you're basing it with,
the administration allegedly ignoring his verbal orders.
The Trump administration, on the other hand, is arguing it did not violate Judge Boasberg's order.
Arabica.
Thus, quote,
Yeah.
unenforceable.
I can't
In
say the
plain
word
English,
either.
they're saying that he said it out loud, at least to write it down before it's real. Now, the timeline of all of this is crucial. We've charted it out here for you because it was 5 p.m. Eastern on Saturday afternoon. That is when the judge kicked off this initial hearing over Trump's attempt to use these wartime powers to deport these alleged members of the Venezuelan gang. Now, it was briefly adjourned 2 minutes later for the government to collect more information. In that time, 2 removal flights took off en route to El Salvador, which had agreed to take in these Venezuelan migrants for about $6 million. But after 6:45 p.m., the judge verbally told the Justice Department to turn around any planes that were carrying people being deported under the Alien Enemies Act. And the verbal order came after 2 flights had taken off, but before they had landed, and before a 3rd flight had even taken off from the United States. Now, the written order from the judge came about 40 minutes after that. I've been working to chase down the details on this timeline, when the administration got this information, when they found out what the order was, and that included at today's press briefing where we sought answers on where they draw the line between a judge's verbal order and a written one. You keep talking about the judge's written order, which hit the docket Saturday night at 7:46 p.m. But he issued a verbal order before that at about 6:45 and 6:48 p.m. based on the court hearing.
Where are all these dark boxes consumed?
The bench. Does the White House feel the need to comply with?
It's gotten me like 50 times.
Again, as I said, all of the planes, subject to the written order of this judge, departed.
Yeah, no, like it's gotta be like literally like a bunch.
Before the
Like, wait, what the fuck? Like, so when I had I just moved the lake because it was really getting
and said for the
there was
planes
like
to
some
turn
other
around.
round.
Well, there's actually questions about whether a verbal order carries the same weight as a legal order, as a written order, and our lawyers are determined to ask and answer those questions in court.
Cool. You wanna?
Now, verbal
Are you
orders
done?
are typically given
Or you
by
wanna do the
legal
ceiling in
by
here?
lawyers as written
I have like
orders.
4 more
Whereas
wrong
top
that I need
legal
to do.
power, legal
But,
firepower sitting by me for a
Well, I'm
moment on
done
whether or not
here,
that's gonna hold up in
I'm
court.
gonna go in
The judge tonight, though, did indicate where he stood, at least, because when that hearing was coming to an end,
Yeah.
Judge Bozos
The,
had quickly issued a written order memorializing
Yeah, and
what
then the
happened
ceiling.
today. Quote,
The,
since apparently my oral orders don't
what is it
seem
called?
to
The
carry much
pantry.
weight. He now wants
He wants
answers
that
by
done
noon
first.
tomorrow on whether any
And
of my
then like
orders
the
were
kitchen, like working
after
our
his
way
order
out
went
that
into
way.
effect.
Oh, the
As
laundry
one
room.
official says tonight, these flights will continue.
The laundry room needs the exact same paint that you're using, I think. So that would just be easy to transition to.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
It all needs
I mean, at
masked
this
off
point,
for the.
what other options?
Oh yeah.
If they define a judge,
That's why it hasn't been done yet. I'll tell you that much.
Again, like I said,
I don't wanna have to do
70%
it.
to do with this.
I've been putting it off.
Grassman kills the closet.
Barack Obama had to deal with this repeatedly.
Huh? The whole closet right there. What?
He's gonna kill it. He hasn't been killed in or anything. And then after that dries, I'm gonna paint that. So the hallway is like completely done and the bathroom's completely
Oh, I
done.
thought the hallway for the closet had been done. I didn't even know.
No.
I didn't do it.
It's still got that orange shit in there.
There has been thought of looking into this. Senator Ron Wyden has already issued statements, for example, advising what we should do in a situation like this, which I concur, which is that I believe that the Biden
Everybody's like
administration
not knowing what
should
it wants
ignore
out of me right now. I have to
this
pee.
ruling. I think that we,
I'm like
you know,
sweating, but barely.
the
Also,
courts
it's a little
have
cold.
the legitimacy, and they rely on the legitimacy of their rulings. And what they are currently doing is engaged in an unprecedented and dramatic erosion of the legitimacy of the courts. It is the justices
the second
themselves,
coat really
the deeply
changes the
partisan
game.
and unfounded nature of these rulings that are undermining their own enforcement.
So when you're saying the Biden administration should ignore this court, what does that look like? What does that actually mean?
You know, I think the interesting thing when it comes to a ruling is that it relies on enforcement. And it is up to the Biden administration to choose whether or not to enforce such a ruling.
But is that
yeah. So what you guys understand? While the mainstream local media goes on fake outrage about ignoring the courts, right, and how bad that is, okay, if the president did do that, or if he decides to do that into the future, which at this point, you know, hey, when it comes to deporting gang members, again, the mainstream local media says bad, right? Bad to ignore the court when you're trying to deport illegal immigrant gang members from the country, right? Bad. But when you're trying to promote liberal, progressive causes, like, I don't know, relieving student loan debt, aka giving a handout to college graduates who made bad decisions, right? Giving handouts to people. Yeah, it's totally fine to ignore the court, right? Totally fine, totally okay, because these people were not raging about Joe Biden ignoring the courts when it came to student loan debt relief, and AOC going on CNN and say, yeah, we should ignore the courts, right? The courts are illegitimate, right? They're illegitimate, so we should ignore them, right? This is the argument that was made by Democrats, right? So now that Trump is in office, okay, and hey, I'm just saying, there's an argument to be made that these courts are illegitimate, right? They have liberal activist judges, okay? They're overstepping their authority. You can make the exact same argument. Therefore, since Democrats thought it was right under their administration, any type of backlash or fake outrage against President Trump, again, we know it's for partisan reasons, okay? It has nothing to do with the principles because, again, Democrats will ignore the court when it's convenient for them. But they're not going to rage if President Trump decides to ignore this woke activist judge when it comes to deporting these illegal immigrant gang members, which at this point, I'm just saying that, you know, hey, for the national security of this country, might have to do what we got to do, right? And I'm not saying that President Trump should ignore the Supreme Court, but a small federal district court judge, okay, who's in over his skis, okay, who's on a power trip, right? I don't think it's a constitutional crisis to say, you know what, that judge can kick rocks, right? If that's the issue, But regardless, again, the media is basically supporting illegal immigrant gangs being here in the United States of America, not deporting them. And Tim Burchett, a Republican from Tennessee, is going to basically go off on this CNN anchor trying to defend this woke activist judge. So without further ado, let's get into it.
The Constitution states pretty clearly that federal judges interpret federal law. Do you have a gripe with that?
No, except for this judge is a created situation, and I don't think it's viable. I think it's political overreach by the left, and that's why I don't think that's why you're not seeing a lot of members of Congress on the left that are trying to stand up and say something.
Do you have evidence that he was unlawfully confirmed by the Senate?
No, what I have evidence of is that the people that he deported, that the president deported, are criminals. And I never understand why CNN takes the side of a bunch of murderers that have come into our country illegally. And I realize you have to make your stand, but that is complete nonsense. And the American public's not buying it. Listen, this is an act of war by these countries. These people have come in, they've come across our border illegally. What would happen if 14 million people swarmed the border at one time, yet it was spread out over 4 years? 14 million people. Wouldn't you consider that an unlawful invasion? It's an act of war. These folks are not playing fair. They're emptying their criminals on us, and it is an act of war.
Yeah, specifically Venezuela refusing to take their gang members back, right? It's one thing to say, all right, well, hey, we can't control the gang members leaving our country and going to your country, right? We can't control that, right? It's another to say, well, we're not going to take them back, okay? No, you have to take them back. Venezuela is not taking them back. Right, in my opinion. I made this argument before, right, months ago, okay?
It's kills, right?
You have to take back your criminals because your criminals were quite literally killing Americans, okay? Criminals from Venezuela that are killing Americans are more dangerous to America and Americans than the radical extremists in the Middle East, right? That we spend billions of dollars per year fighting, okay? They don't actually really pose that much of a threat to our interests, okay? They may pose a threat to, I don't know, some other country in the Middle East that, we've been over backwards for no matter what. They may pose a threat to those people, right? But not to us, okay? But yet we spend military dollars taking military action against those people, right, in the Middle East. But when it comes to Venezuela, though, oh, wait, we can't do that, right? Oh, wait, that's out of bounds. Even though their people, these gang members, have invaded this country and they're taking over apartment complexes, right? The people don't understand. They're taking over buildings, right? They're occupying territory in real estate in this country. That's unacceptable. So yes, I do think that we're in the territory when it comes to Venezuela where we have to start taking military action in order to remedy this problem, right? And President Trump is taking action right now by deporting them to El Salvador, okay? And I mean, that's at the bare minimum. Hey, I'm just saying, that's what he's doing for right now. But yeah, we're in that territory with this situation when it comes to gang members coming to this country, where yeah, we can't just allow this to continue to happen, right? We have to have these people removed immediately, okay? They're dangerous, right? So, Democrats, they can have their way, right? If the border stayed open under Joe Biden, our country would turn into Mexico, where a significant portion of our country will be run by cartels and gangs. Let's keep it 100. Like, that's what would happen. Democrats in the Biden administration, this country, we would turn into Mexico, right? That's what would happen.
Whatever came on next.
The media didn't write the Constitution, the founding fathers did. And all I'm asking is whether Tom Homan, I'll put this up on the screen, said we're not stopping. I don't care what the judges think. All I'm asking you, and you are an elected member of Congress, and we certainly respect that role, what your advice is to the White House. Do you think that the White House has the responsibility to follow rulings from the federal judiciary?
I think President Trump has the ability and authority to protect this country from unlawful entry and from criminals conducting criminal activity, and I believe that he acted appropriately and Tom Homan acted appropriately, and that's why I believe overwhelmingly in this country people support that, and they think this judge has overstepped his bounds.
Well, so no matter what a
And he's taking the side, of a bunch of criminals.
Don't come out like
Nope, it's okay, I'm backwards. So I think,
all he's done is put a
yes.
on the White House action here so that he can.
It looks like they haven't grabbed
their
this.
use of their novel use.
Yeah, I think so. The like bucket and thing.
Yeah.
Yep. I think so. We were looking for it this morning.
Do you know where the ring is for this?
The what?
Make it fit the bigger.
Maybe over there.
Okay.
Yeah, the red cross is where it was, so. I know that Adam had one and you had one. I had one that was, that I was able to keep it safe because I put that on the sink handle.
What in what you advise the White House and your feeling about judicial rulings, and that seems to be upsetting.
I don't even know how he was able to do it. He didn't have a car.
It's not upsetting. I think what's upsetting is that you all at CNN continuously take the side of the far left. That's where your ratings continue to plummet. And I do not understand why y'all do that every time. I know you gotta make the opposite on everything.
That's okay.
Give that seat.
You can take that ring.
It doesn't fit without that.
Oh, on the other type of bucket. Yeah, the Kills. Remember that one jug of Kills has a lot of chunks in it.
What you were spitting out right now.
Thank you, Jay. Good.
How long have they been reviewing this stuff? These guys have been sitting on this back for months, so these criminals can stay in this country. This is all this is. This is overreach. And I'll guarantee you, if his kids had been murdered or raped, as has happened in this country to several American citizens by these thugs, that he would be taking a different position. But he's protected. You all protect him. Look, you gotta come off this. Seriously, I know that.
CNN, you gotta come off this, bro. You gotta come off this. Because, I mean, everybody can see what this is. Come on, bro. You're defending Trende Alamo, right? You're defending these gangs in this country. But remember, this is the same outlet that said that, hey, this is a conspiracy theory, right? All the outlets say this is a conspiracy. It's not true. We don't know if they're actually taking over apartments, right? You know, at some point, they have to realize that you cannot gain back your credibility because they have zero at all. So who knows? They have nothing to lose at this point. But you're never going to gain back your credibility or your viewers defending this type of stuff. It's just not a good look. It's really not.
I think, Congressman, can I ask you to stop for 1 second here? I think if you go through and analyze the questions that I asked, very carefully worded, they were about the Constitution. I think it's fair to ask a member of Congress about the Constitution and his understanding about it. I asked it in incredibly respectful ways, and I respect your opinion on this, sir. I also respect the fact that you seem very concerned with the future of the media industry. That aside, sir, I do think a discussion about the law is valid, and I was asking you your interpretation of it, the White House interpretation of it, and what should happen next. The discussion right now before this judge, the discussion before the judge today is not whether or not what they did was legal in regard to these gang members, and it may be the absolute right policy to get them out. The discussion before the judge today is whether or not the White House followed his instructions.
If y'all want to issue a lecture, go ahead and issue a lecture and leave me off. But if we need to get those people out, they are criminals. Look at those thugs and tell me you want those thugs living in your neighborhood. Do you want them in your neighborhood? Do you want them running your apartment complex as they did in Colorado? No. Heck,
no, he's a white liberal, of course not. He's a white liberal. More than anybody don't want the people that they claim they love so much around them. Right? Remember when DeSantis sent them to Martha's Vineyard, right? How the white liberals had a xenophobic panic over the people that they love so much coming into their neighborhood? Okay, you remember that? Of course not. Of course not. Again, it's easy to sit on your high horse, okay, and to try to play the whole, oh, well, you know, maybe the illegals, the gang members should have got due process. Maybe they should stay here a little bit longer, right? It's easy to say that when you're not affected by it, when you don't have to worry about them being in your neighborhood, right? But the people whose neighborhoods that these gang members are operating in are the so-called black and brown folk, right? That these people claim they care about so much, but they don't, because they're totally fine with illegal immigrant gangs terrorizing their neighborhoods and their cities, right? That's what they're totally okay with. In fact, the Democrat Party's okay with it. All of them okay with it, right? So again, like I said, I personally believe that there's basically zero chance that the people that were deported to El Salvador are not Tren de Aragua, right? That they did not do what they're accused of doing. And the reason why I say this is because I don't think that President Trump and this administration will pull this move unless they knew 100% that, okay, these guys are very dangerous, right? I'm just saying, they would have to be positively, 100% positively sure that they're not deporting any American citizens or anybody like that, right? I'm pretty sure they did their due diligence before conducting this operation, right? At the end of the day, I'm not worried about who they deported, right? I'm worried about, hey, how can we help this country become safer, right? How can we fix this problem? And if this is part of the solution, then so be it, right? We got to do what we got to do because it's that important, right? These people are killing Americans, right? They're killing Americans. Democrats may not see that as an emergency or anything to be worried about, but I think normal people do.
No, look, guys, you asked me my opinion, I gave it. I think the president is correct. I think Tom Homan is correct. I think America supports this, and we are tired of these activist judges reaching out way over their skis, and that's what this guy's done. Look at the history of this guy. He shows up in court cases. He's anti-Trump. We know this. Everybody knows this. This is no secret. This is just ridiculous. You all have way overstepped on this one because the American public is not buying it.
I will only say, not once did I overstep in any way by asking you questions about the Constitution. You know that.
And
you know there was no. I listened to your opinion very much.
I gave you my opinion, brother.
Okay.
I gave you my opinion.
All right.
I gave you my opinion, and you
I appreciate it.
take it.
I believe for the last several minutes we've been taking it. Congressman Tim Burchett, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your words.
Wow, this is hilarious. Tim Burchett, he loves trolling CNN, right? I think he does an amazing job. He should definitely
right
keep
here,
doing
and
that.
so basically
done,
except for maybe touch-ups, but I gotta wait for it to dry a little more.
Every time he goes on their network.
I was going to come out here and help you with
Living room?
living room,
Yeah, let's do it.
This is the hill that Democrats and social media are dying on. I don't
Sounds
think
like
it's
a
worth it, right? I
plan
think it's
to
one of those
me.
things where
Yes.
they should say, you know what? Maybe we should just let this one slide.
Yeah,
right?
I'll just start wherever the
chill out
opposite of
on
where
this
you
one,
started.
Okay, because this is not a battle we can win, right, in public. We can't win this battle, but hey, nope, because Trump is doing it. They got to stand up against it because they have to stand up against everything that President Trump does, and it just puts them in very, very, very awkward situations, just like this one. So, you know what you guys think? Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Or support and share a Black Conservative Perspective. Peace.
Astronauts on the space station, are they political prisoners?
Some of them are.
Because you could have given them a ride back, and Joe Biden said no purely for politics.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some debate about this online, but the thing is that it was a very high level decision. So it wasn't even a NASA decision. It was just that the Biden White House did not want to have someone who was pro-Trump rescuing astronauts right before the election. So they pushed it.
Well, if you're one of those astronauts, you got to be pretty pissed off about that.
Well, if they're a Democrat, yes. So a Republican, yes. But if they're a Democrat, everything's fine.
Fair enough.
So I think one of them is a Republican, one is a Democrat. So it depends on which one you ask.
Well, thank you, Elon. This was awesome, and let me say, and by the way, I put out on X the day before yesterday. If you were having a beer with Elon, you could ask him anything.
I gotta go pee again.
Responses.
Clear up.
The most common response people said is say thank you.
Look, Texans and the American people appreciate what you're doing. You don't have to put up with this BS, and you're doing it. I'm grateful. You're making a hell of a difference for this country. I appreciate you, and the Americans appreciate you. Thank you.
It's essential for the future of civilization. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it.
Yes.
It's not like I want to get death threats, you know?
No. Meanwhile.
You can see on the left-hand side of your screen. The crowd is going wild. There on your screen, you can see that dragon separation, that second stage making its way. And Dragon is now flying free. There on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see some first images of Crew 10 inside the Dragon Endurance spacecraft as they're now successfully in orbit.
Dragon, SpaceX Chief Engineer on Countdown 1. On behalf of the entire Falcon team, we thank you for flying with Falcon and wish you a great mission. Over to LD.
It was an honor flying with you this evening. We wish you well on your journey and give Crew 9 our best. Thank you for flying SpaceX.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about a story that is flying under the radar of the mainstream liberal media for obvious reasons. And the reason is because it's a story that makes Elon Musk and President Trump look good, okay? We all know that President Trump is public enemy number 1 and Elon Musk is public enemy number 2. And because of that, you can't cover any positive stories about things that they're doing right. And things that, like, I mean, a reasonable person could not disagree.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go because I don't want to try to juggle the camera while I'm trying to paint in here. So I'll see you guys later. I love you.
Who is straight